Up next on The Bottom Line, an update on an injured bald eagle rescued by county police, a recent trip to Cuba for 2 council members, and a legendary Montgomery County business that's all in the family. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm Susan Kennedy. If you've been paying attention to national news lately, this local story is sure to give you some hope that the human spirit does remain intact and every cloud does have a silver lining. It's been a little more than a week since Animal Services Officer Jennifer Gill swooped in and saved a bald eagle after it had been injured by a passing car in Potomac.
Quite frankly, I didn't think it was going to be a bald eagle. I thought maybe it was going to be a hawk or something like that, because usually people mistake animals, especially birds of prey. They say it's an owl and it turns out to be a little hawk or whatnot. So I was quite shocked that it was actually indeed a bald eagle when I showed up.
When Officer Gill arrived on the scene, the eagle, which she named Trust, was entangled in some shrubs. After safely wrapping the bird up in a towel, she loaded Trust up and put her into a carrier to be taken to the Owl Moon Raptor Center in Boyd's. She was frightened, she was in pain, so the best thing I could do is to quickly as possible get her to, to Suzanne for professional help.
Exactly, but these guys are all loose, not all of them, but you can take a peek.
Suzanne Shoemaker runs the nonprofit rehabilitation center.
They electrocuted on a transformer box, we think. That leg, the electricity, I think, went through her foot up and out her back.
Which has been in operation since 2002. After assessing Trust, she determined the eagle had serious injuries that needed immediate attention.
I could tell that it was a shoulder injury. They gave me information that was helpful because they could see that the wing was not lifting, that side was not lifting when she was trying to fly. And so that was an indication that there was a problem in that left wing. And then when I felt the wing, there was no fractures that I could feel down below. And I could also see that she was drooping from the shoulder.
Shoemaker is keeping an eagle eye on Trust as she recovers from her fracture. She educates Animal Services officers like Jennifer Gill about bird rescue, and because of the quick thinking of a couple of residents and Officer Gill, Trust is making a good recovery so far.
Her appetite's improving, and I think the internal bleeding is resolving.
I just took that one. If nobody had called her in, we would never have known, and she probably would have died in the woods alone, without any help, So thank God for citizens, calling in and saying, I saw this, injured animal, please somebody come out, and rescue her.
And I think the fact that somebody, saw this bird in distress and recognized that something needed to be done and took it on themselves to do that, I think is a really good thing. I mean, it kind of gets to, not everybody's jobs are so tightly defined that I only do my job and I don't look at anything else. There's nothing on that policeman's, job requirement that says look for injured animals and take care of them.
It's not certain she will fly again. That determination will be made within the next couple of months. But in the meantime, Officer Gill will treasure this moment in her career and hopes that the day will come that Trust will soar like an eagle again.
She's a representative of our country, and I think she's just a wonderful reminder of who we are as United States of America and what we represent and where we come from. So she's really just a special creature.
To keep up with Trust recovery, you can visit the Owl Moon Raptor Center's Facebook page, where updates will be posted. To find out more about the work of the center or to make a donation, visit their website at owlmoon.org. Suzanne Shoemaker told us if Trust does not regain her ability to fly, she will be placed in a nature facility where she will most likely be used in an educational setting. Recently, council members Nancy Navarro and Roger Berliner traveled to Cuba with a delegation from the Baltimore, Washington, D.C. area. The goal of the trip was to explore ways for legislators, residents, and businesses to connect with Cuba with hopes of opening up the regional economy.
There were 43 of us that were on this delegation. I went in my role as chairman of the Council of Governments.
Mayor Bowser led the delegation, and the Greater Washington Hispanic Chamber was the entity that organized this trip.
Well, to me, the highlight of the trip was meeting the Cuban people and getting the reaction of the Cuban people to Americans. They're a wonderful people.
Personalized healthcare is definitely one of the hallmarks, obviously, of what we were able to experience there and see firsthand. And the way they do it is that they basically have this hub, and then they have a family doctor every 3 blocks. And that's the way that the network has been set up. So personalized that if you went, for example, and you were diabetic and somehow you missed the next appointment, they would literally send somebody to your house to make sure and understand why you didn't come. It is quite remarkable that that access to healthcare is pretty universal.
So that fundamental focus on taking care of people from the beginning so that they don't end up in the hospitals, that is what the outcome is.
We learned that 60% of the budget goes to education. We learned that, for example, women get a year of paid maternity leave, and then childcare is completely paid for, and pre-K is completely paid for, and then education is totally free, and it's mandatory until 9th grade, but most people go on to college, and university is free.
You get a wonderful education, but it isn't an education that leads to opportunity. You are educated in order to ensure that the state has a highly educated people.
It's kind of extraordinary. I mean, I had heard stories of people saying, cab drivers have like master's degrees and PhDs, and it's absolutely true.
People have no opportunity. Young people are fleeing the island at every opportunity. So their island is getting older. But on the whole, I walked away depressed for the people of Cuba because the economic opportunity is so constrained.
I am originally from Minnesota. There were a lot of things that, in terms of the music, things, just cultural nuances that, of course, were very familiar. But then also trying to understand, how this particular model of government, how it has had its successes and also what could be considered its shortcomings.
And looking forward to the time when the system could evolve enough to allow the great energy that the Cuban people have. So it isn't something that happens overnight. If America was ever allowed to go as tourists, we would overwhelm that island. It has the climate you want. It has friendly people. It is safe. It has beaches. It has good food. They have everything you would want in a destination.
It's been a county treasure for the past 65 years. Butlers Orchard in Germantown has been providing residents from all over our region with healthy outdoor fun with their pick-your-own business and farm market. The business was started back in 1950 by George and Shirley Butler, neither of whom had an ounce of experience in agriculture. Today, Butlers is probably one of the best-known farms in the metropolitan region.
Good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
Recently, council members George Leventhal and Hans Reamer paid a visit to Butlers, where they caught up with Wade Butler, one of the farm's owners, to find out how they've been able to be successful as so many farms across the country have ceased operating.
Well, Wade, you're one of the pillars of our local agricultural community. How many generations of Butlers have been doing this business?
I'm the 2nd generation. My mom and dad started in 1950. My children are coming along and be the 3rd generation here at Butlers Orchard.
So one of the things we hear a lot is that it's very difficult to get the young generation to stay in farming. I mean, there's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of other opportunities. So how hard has it been for you to get your kids to stay with the family business?
I think that we've been very fortunate at Butlers Orchard. I have 3 children. All 3 are involved here in the farm at this point in time right now. They all see opportunity here. They all want to be here, and of course, as a parent, you don't want to push something on your child that they don't want to do. So the fact that they all were involved and enjoyed their life, and I guess I didn't push them too hard as kids and didn't make them work too hard when they were younger, that they enjoy being here. And so we're very fortunate that they want to be here and they want to farm, and they're really happy to be a part of something.
After an unsuccessful start growing peaches, George and Shirley Butler turned their interest to strawberries. That commodity took off and gave way to one of the very first pick-your-own strawberry farms, not just in this region, but the country. From there, the list grew to more than 10 options of pick-your-own.
Want to try one? I'm gonna try one.
You try this one.
The end goal is to have something to pick at Butlers Orchard year-round.
This is new to me. Pretty interesting, I think.
The farm has a very successful Christmas tree season that started in the 70s. Butler says this region is an ideal location for a business like this.
They see that too.
Are there benefits to being a farmer when you're really inside of a metropolitan region?
It's nice to have open areas if you're a crop farmer, grain farmer, and doing that type of thing. You really don't want a bunch of commuters on your road, and you don't want a bunch of neighbors that maybe don't like some of the things you're doing. Our business, fruits and vegetables, pick your own opportunities. We need that. 1 million people now in Montgomery County and 8 or 9 million in the DC metropolitan area. So for our type of business, it's right up our alley. So we're growing 17 acres of blueberries and 15 acres of strawberries and cherries and raspberries, a lot of acres of a lot of different crops. All goes pick your own because we do have a great source nearby us of folks that want to come out to the farm and they want to pick their own stuff and show their kids how things are grown.
And they've had to reinvent themselves over the years. Butlers Orchard markets not only to locals, but to tourists as well. Today, not only can you pick your own fruits and vegetables, but you can experience agriculture and entertainment at the same time.
I've heard the term agritainment used to describe this. Is that a term that you adopt?
We do. Agritainment means that we're getting people out on the farm and we're giving them something to do other than maybe picking fruits and vegetables. So this open air, yeah, we have a slide that they can go down, and there's a little picnic area, and there's a playground area. And just about anything you do here at Butlers Orchard, we're going to put you on a wagon with a tractor for a hayride.
The establishment of the county's agricultural reserve, the #1 farm protection program of any kind in this country, has helped Butlers Orchard continue to generate and contribute capital to Montgomery County's economy. And being a local business means a lot to the Butlers. Last year, they employed 150 people at the farm, including 3 men over the age of 80. The business is also a big supporter of other local businesses.
From buying John Deere tractors, that's our closest dealer. So the color of our tractors is green. Damascus, John Deere dealerships right up the road. We try to network with as many of the local farmers as we can, and it gives us a better selection and it helps the overall economy.
His 3 children, Hallie, Tyler, and Ben, are all a big part of the operation today. And for them, taking over the business as the 3rd generation of Butlers makes perfect sense.
We're learning that, what's our target market? It's millennials, it's all age groups, and so we just have to keep changing with the times. And Ben and I talk about, how we're going to improve the business and grow, because if you're not growing, it's no good. So we're continuing to do that.
I mean, as we get older, we kind of begin to appreciate more of what groundwork my grandmother and my dad and my aunt really have done for us. So it definitely is a lot of pressure to continue this scale of a business in this county, but we're excited and we feel we're up to the challenge, and we've got some good mentors and teachers that aren't going anywhere anytime soon. So yeah, we're happy to learn.
Well, that's going to wrap up this edition of The Bottom Line. We sign off this week with our Montgomery Moment. Scenes from one of Montgomery County's newest hotspots, North Bethesda Market. I'm Susan Kennedy. Thanks for watching.